46 Long Island doctors were allowed to keep practicing after convictions, arrests, complaints, and judgments. Broken practice, an exclusive Newsday investigation. Sarra Sounds Off is brought to you by Roll Up Awnings.
Greg Sarra here for Newsday Sports. We are on location at Half Hollow Hills West High School in Dix Hills. I'm joined by the one and only Anthony Raio of Hills West, a great lacrosse and football player. And we're going to talk football, then some lacrosse, and then life in general. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You look at your career football, and it may have never happened if you weren't friends with Joseph Filati.
Yeah.
Why did you play football?
Gerald, he was a big part of me playing football. I mean, I probably wouldn't have continued my football career past Pee Wee if it wasn't for him. He brought me along and pushed me through my journey, whether it was from playing Long Island Elite football or the Spartans when it was first there. But yeah, Joe, just being my best friend, I always wanted to do whatever I could to play sports with him. So that's kind of why I played.
A lot of fun, obviously playing with your best friend, but you knew your future was on the lacrosse field, that you were going to be out there playing for the University of North Carolina. And it was an opportunity maybe to play football and lacrosse for you as a freshman for Bill Belichick, a future Hall of Famer in the NFL. Did that go through your mind? Did you think like maybe I can swing both sports, or no, not really?
It was definitely took a lot of thought for me. Just that's obviously a great honor to be able to play for a legendary coach like Bill Belichick. So it was definitely a thought that crossed through my mind. But at the end of the day, my goal is to win a national championship in lacrosse, and I think for those purposes I should stick to what I'm really good at, and my passion is lacrosse. So I think I want to put all my energy into that and bring home a national championship for the Tar Heels.
I just checked out the stats and I look at what you and Jesse Brooks did in your junior year. And he set the Long Island record for touchdowns receiving in a season, and you set the record for 84 receptions. Was it fun? Was it like playground ball, like pitch and catch with Joe Filardi? Was it like you could do whatever you wanted, you just weren't stopping people enough on defense? What was it?
Yeah, it was definitely like backyard football. I mean, Jesse Brooks catching a long touchdown, or it's me catching a 5-yard hitch, but that wouldn't be possible without that great offensive line we had with Sal Santor and all them. And then obviously the amazing quarterback in Joe Filardi that could get out of any sack and make something out of nothing. So
when I look at your career and I see that only really one team stood in the way, will you always think back that how great the Savville football teams were and the phenomenal games that you guys had against Savville? Yeah,
Savville, they were definitely a good team, and they were definitely a tough test for us as we've seen. We didn't really come out on the right end of those games all the time, but it was fun to compete against them. To be in those games with them and just out there competing with your best friends. There's really nothing better than that.
So now we bounce into the lacrosse season, and last year you were the Newsday Player of the Year. You led the Long Island in goals, you led Long Island in points scored, but you guys didn't come away with a championship. Is that this year's goal? Because I look at some of your scores, and you are blowing out some of the traditionally best teams in Suffolk County to this point.
These are my best friends. We've been doing it for a long time, and we have that hunger to win that state championship, because that's always the goal. That was our goal last year, and we fell up a little bit short, but we worked 2 times as hard as we did last year to make sure that we get the right outcome. And guys like Nick Haugen, the sophomore that just came in, he's stepping up. Last game against Northport I think he had 3 or 4 goals. Daniel Chung, another sophomore, had 2 goals in a big game versus Northport. Guys like that are the reason that we're going to be able to get to that state championship.
How important is it for any team in any sport to have that depth, to be able to rely on other guys other than the main guy?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our bench, we have a pretty shallow bench. We got, but those guys, those contributors that might not get their name in Newsday every day, but they make a big impact on the field. Like Ryan Chung, he's a Fogo, he's a defensive midfielder, he plays offense, he's key roles in all of those positions. And at the end of the day, if we don't have guys like him and Luke Bradley who run the field back and forth 10 times a game just so we get the ball on offense, so that I have an opportunity to score, or Zach Marco has an opportunity to score, it's those guys and those key moments that get us to where we need to be.
I don't want to put you on the spot because you might meet some of these teams in the playoffs, but we did talk about this once before, and I want you to share this with our audience. Did you take delight in beating Ward Melville 27-7? Because Ward Melville beats everybody up every year. Was that like an unbelievable win? When I saw the score, I thought we made a mistake.
Yeah, it was definitely felt good to beat up on that team. Just the past we have these past 4 years competing against them. Obviously, I have great respect for those coaches and those players and the products that have come out of Ward Melville, but it definitely felt good to beat them the way we did.
Northport seems to always be in the mix. Another great program, but there's a newcomer to the higher echelon of Division I lacrosse on Long Island. And would you agree with me that Huntington has improved unbelievably in the last few years?
Yeah, they've definitely been on the come up recently. I mean, again, there's a couple of my teammates there, Tommy Klein and Timmy McDonald, who I played with in club ball, and they're fierce competitors, and they're always there to compete against you. So, listen, they have a good team, and they have a good shot this year.
You said, and I asked you this, what's the toughest position on the field to play, and would you play? And you're like, no, I don't think so. Sal Santoro is your goalkeeper. How tough is he?
He's a tough guy. I mean, I know me personally, I wouldn't be getting in the net against some of these guys shooting, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for him, just standing into the net and making the plays that he does. Our first game versus Mamaroneck, which was a huge game, a huge statement game for us. He had 21 saves. He was the reason we were in that game. He played unbelievable, and he's played unbelievable the whole season. And sometimes he doesn't get as many shots as other goalies. That's why he might not have as many saves as others. But when in those big moments, when we need him, he's there to make the save all the time, and he's the voice of our team.
Do you say to yourself, anything short of a Long Island championship is a failure?
Yeah, I mean, for our team, the expectation is a state championship. So anything other than that, that's not a successful season for us. So,
how do the coaches feel about that? Does that put a lot of unnecessary pressure on guys, or no, it's a pretty mature group and everybody knows this is what we're working for and this is our last shot at it?
Pressure is a privilege, so I think the coaches and the whole team, we're all on the same page. We know what the expectation is, and it's not set by anybody else but the people in our locker room and our team. Other people might think that we should win a state championship, but we believe that the minute that we came to the school our freshman year that we could be state champions, and we've been working to that until this moment.
You were a Gridiron Great. National Football Foundation recognized you at their brunch at the Melville Marriott, and how important it was for you to balance academics and athletics. What would be your message to middle school kids or to younger athletes coming through the system? How important is it to balance both academics and athletics?
I mean, I'm a big believer in doing everything the right way, so if you can't do it 100%. And my dad always told me that, don't leave any doors closed, like you close the doors. Don't let somebody else do that for you. So I always thought, get the best grades I can, do the best I can in the classroom, in the weight room, on the field, to set myself up and me be the one who chooses my path, not somebody else.
So you choosing your path and being where you're at, and obviously you've been very successful through your high school years, and there are great things ahead of you on your journey. Who's an inspiration to you along the way? Who inspired you to be the athlete that you are, to be the student that you are?
It was definitely, I would have to say, my father. He's my whole life, he's been right there next to me, pushing me. Some days when I didn't want to work out, he would push me to go to work out, say like, you got to go do this, like it's just what you got to do. We'd have Saturday morning trainings, and my friends would be hanging out, having sleepovers on a Friday night, and I would go to them, and then I would have to wake up at, 8 o'clock in the morning. We were just up till 3 a.m. because we were middle schoolers who mess around. So, things like that, making me get up and go work, and then that carried on to once I matured, knowing that that was instilled in me to keep working when nobody's watching.
How excited are you to go to the University of North Carolina?
I can't wait. It's a beautiful campus. The people there are amazing. There's just a lot of things about that campus that are special, and I can't wait to get there and make my mark on it.
You're combined for lacrosse. Could you imagine if you were combined in football, Hills East and Hills West?
We would have done some damage.
It would have been tough to beat you guys.
Definitely would have been.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Sarra Sounds Off. Like I said, continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Sometimes it's not about winning and losing. It's about the moment. 7 months ago, Anthony Pagluca was involved in a devastating car accident with 4 friends. 2 of his friends, Bella Trezza and Riley Groot, they died tragically, along with the other driver, Michael Desmond. Pagluca, one of 3 survivors, had multiple fractures in his neck, in his back, his pelvis, long bones, significant injuries. Chance for survival wasn't good. But here was Pagluca at West Babylon High School. He threw out the ceremonial first pitch with the other 2 survivors, Jack Murphy and Austin Trezza. He then started the game for St. Anthony's baseball. He played against West Babylon High School on their field. Tremendous amount of fans. He went an inning and a third, allowed no runs. Came out after he struck out the second batter of the second inning, and this was planned by Coach Paul Parcelano of the St. Anthony's Friars, who walked out to the mound with Pagluca's parents and his brother to remove him from the ball game. And what a moment, to a standing ovation. Parcelano said it was very emotional, a very cool moment in his career. And Pagluca's message was, never give up, always work back to the things you love. And he loves baseball. And if he had a chance to play again, that's what he worked for. It's not about winning or losing, just enjoying the moment. I'm Greg Sarra for Newsday Sports.